Today we're going to talk about copyright. We all go on the internet and it's very common to scroll through other people's photos, artwork, videos, writing, and a lot of times we think, hey, I found it online, so I'm free to use it however I would like. But today's lesson we will talk about why that's actually not true. We're going to talk about copyright. Let's start with what is copyright. So it's basically legal protection that creators have over the things they create. So without copyright laws, writers, artists, and media producers would not receive the compensation they deserve for their creations. That's why there is copyright laws in place. And you may be asking, okay, what is covered by copyright? This is any work that you encounter on the internet. This could be text, it could be music, artwork, photos, plays, poems, novels, dance choreography, movies, software, and architecture. And again, these laws are in place to protect the financial interests of the creators, producers, and distributors of original works of information art. And again, just because you found it on the internet, it does not belong to you and you can't use it however you like. Copyright requires people to get permission before they copy, paste, alter, or share what someone else has made. There are some things to keep in mind when it comes to copyright. 1. All materials on the internet is copyrighted unless stated otherwise. 2. This means that the people who create them own the content and have a say in how they're used. 3. But that doesn't mean that everything on the internet can't be used. Some creators indicate that their content is okay to be used by others. And a lot of times we can simply reach out and ask the creator for permission. Many creators are happy to give permission to reproduce their work as long as they're given credit. And a lot of times if you seek permission from copyright owners, if requested, you would just have to pay a fee for the use of the work. So what exactly are you guys supposed to do then when you see content on the internet that you want to use? Well, like I mentioned before, you can seek permission. Again, many users are very happy to share their work as long as you give them credit. So content will fall in 2 ways. One is called public domain, which according to U.S. law, some content becomes available as public domain after a certain number of years have passed since its recreation. There are also specific images and documents published by the government themselves that are considered public domain. For example, the very famous painting of Mona Lisa. You can find a ton of things that are totally free to use as long as you're searching public domain. The next one is fair use. This allows us to use copyright work without permission, but only in certain ways and in specific situations. For example, you want to use a photo, a video, music, or other content that's copyright. There are still multiple things that we could do. When it comes to the length, we could use a small amount of the original work. This means someone can't copy the whole copyright song in their dance video, but they can use a short clip of it. Next is adding a new purpose to the work to make it original. So there has to be a new purpose in the project, meaning that we transform the original work into something new and different. Next one is you can use work that are nonfiction or based in fact. Next is it's easier to claim fair use if the nature of the original work is nonfiction or based in fact rather than creative or fictional. Last but not least, your alteration, the way you posted the work, shouldn't affect the value of the original work. So you have to ask yourself, the way you're posting it, does it negatively affect the creator or the value of the original content? So again, to define these 2 definitions, public domain is when it's copyrighted has expired. Typically it's factual, or it was published before a certain date, or the creator assigned their work to the public domain. We'd also discuss fair use. Again, the 4 areas of fair use is the amount of content you're using, the purpose of it, are you changing the reason behind it, the nature of it, and the effect that it has on the original work and its creator. But determining fair use is a notoriously gray area. So be especially careful with that. There are times where I personally have used music for, say, an Instagram video and I've been copyright striked. So just be careful with how much time you're using with the original content. Claiming fair use is determined on a case-by-case basis, but it's more likely acceptable if it's for schoolwork and education. So if you guys are using stuff for research in school, a lot of times you're just going to be just fine. But again, cite your sources, make sure you give credit to the content creator, and if possible, ask for permission. So again, it's more likely acceptable if it's for schoolwork and education, for criticizing or commenting on something, for news reporting, and for comedy or as a parody of something. That's why you can see videos of very popular YouTube commentators, and it is considered a new project or a new work because they're adding something to the original content. So what happens if we don't follow the legal reasons of copyright laws? Well, this is called copyright infringement. I'm sure you've come across this word. It's very common in the digital space. So using work protected by copyright without permission is considered copyright infringement. When it comes to using the work, might involve like you're reproducing it, you're displaying it, distributing, performing, or making your own derivatives. That's considered copyright infringement. Again, this is unethical and illegal. There are legal penalties for copyright infringement, and sometimes it can be very severe. Just remember, just because you found something online doesn't mean it's for you to use. And we should also consider the ethical reasons when you're using content. So you imagine